Hello everyone, welcome back to All Out Gamer. Today's topic is nothing short of seismic. Gears of War, once a crown jewel of Xbox exclusivity, is officially coming to PS5 this August. This follows hot on the heels of Forza's PS5 release in April of this year. And with critically acclaimed titles such as Hi-Fi Rush and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle also making their way cross-platform earlier this year, this leaves Halo as the last remaining pillar of exclusivity for Xbox. And this has left many people wondering, are we witnessing the end of Xbox as a console competitor? And what could all of this potentially mean for the industry at large? So, let's break it down. First, let's hone in on what Xbox is actually doing here. Over the last few years, Xbox has been pivoting hard into services, not hardware. Their focus? Game Pass, cloud gaming, and building a digital ecosystem that can exist on any device. This includes PC, mobile, and even PlayStation. With Phil Spencer, the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, being quoted as saying, "There's no point in putting a ring fence around any game." By releasing their biggest exclusive games and series on PS5, Xbox are clearly signaling that selling their consoles is no longer a top priority. In fact, they instead seem to be acting more like a third-party publisher. And if Game Pass ever lands on PlayStation, the need for an Xbox console could all but vanish. And here's where things get serious. If Xbox exits the hardware space, this leaves PlayStation as the undisputed dominant force in traditional console gaming. And history tells us that when competition disappears, consumer value and innovation can suffer. Let's rewind briefly to 1983. The year of the infamous video game industry crash. Back then, a flooded, unregulated market with few quality controls and dominated by a few key players like Atari collapsed under its own weight. Without meaningful competition and quality controls, consumer trust eroded, and the video game industry tanked by 97% of global revenue in just 2 years. Competition forces companies to innovate, improve hardware, and offer better prices and quality of services. As examples, the so-called console wars between Xbox and PlayStation brought us a slew of innovations within the industry. This includes innovations such as Xbox Live, achievements and trophies, Game Pass, and even the revamp to PS Plus on PlayStation. Now, it's worth noting that even if Xbox were to stop making consoles, that doesn't mean they would disappear entirely. If anything, they're evolving to something closer to Netflix or Steam. They want to become an industry-leading, service-first company that delivers games to any player on any device. But that creates a fundamental shift in the industry. Instead of two titans battling it out with their consoles and exclusive games, instead we might see a world where Sony completely controls the console space. A world where Nintendo happily stays in its own lane as it has done for years, and Microsoft only competes from the cloud gaming and subscription service market. So what's the potential downside for players? The risk? Well, without direct competition in the console space, PlayStation might be less inclined to keep prices low, innovate, and take risks on new IPs. And what are the benefits? Well, players might have more ability to gain access to Xbox games wherever they want. So, what does the future hold for us? If Halo, the last of the Xbox Big Three, makes its way to PlayStation, the writing might be on the wall. Although Xbox has committed to releasing more future consoles and even potentially handhelds, we might be witnessing the end of the console wars as we know it. And as to whether these changes are good or bad depends entirely on how Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo adapt to these changes and how we as consumers respond. What are your thoughts on Xbox's most recent changes and releases to PlayStation? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful or interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell to stay notified about future videos from the channel. Thank you so much for watching once again. I'll see you in the next video.